Hi everybody, it's Juliet here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these really cute little skull motifs that make great little earrings. You can make all kinds of funky ones. This one almost looks like an alien actually. So depending on what color you do them in, you can completely change how they look. But you know, with Halloween and Day of the Dead coming up shortly after, I think this is a really fun little project, or even just, you know, if you like making goth stuff, you know, skulls are very popular motif for them. So you can see I've made my kind of alien one. I like this one. It's got different color eyes. So I didn't use black, I used the blue eyes for that one, and it's a bit more feminine, kind of bling bling, I guess. This one is more, it's got a purple, as you can see, and I just wanted to show you, you could even add little flower embellishments to kind of make it cute or soften it up a bit, you know, make it into a little girl skeleton, or girl skull, I guess. And then this one, these ones I used the silver around the outside, as you can see, but on this one I went crazy and I made it more like a Day of the Dead mask. So I only did the silver around the eyes as little accents, and then I mixed up some colors on the second layer and around the nose area, and added a bit where there might be like a mouth kind of thing. So you can really customize these, make them as spooky or as gorgeous as you want to. They take very little material. You only need an 8mm bead, and I'm using a crackle bead that's kind of green and yellow. We're gonna make the other one of this. You need some green, well, I'm using a green for the kind of inner layer of the skeleton, and then I'm using silver lined beads for like the outer layer, and then you're gonna need some eyes as well. So what I am using, sorry I forgot to put those in the screen, are these little guys, and they are little 3mm rondelles. You could potentially use 6/0 beads, or possibly even 8/0 beads, or possibly a 4mm bicone. I haven't really experimented with those, and you may need to adjust the number of beads on the outer ring if you want to do that. But just know that, you know, if you don't have these beads, these little 3mm rondelles, which are, let me just hold it up so you can see it. See, they are kind of wider than they are long, okay? So they're a little bit fatter, which is what gives such a nice eye shape. So if you can get your hands on these, then I would. These ones came in a set that I happened to get from BB Craft. I got all these in a set. So, and also actually the crackle beads are also ones that I got from BB Craft like a few years back. So these ones right here, the red and blue ones, I used to make a kind of Grateful Dead looking skull, which I will put right here so you can see it, which I thought was really cute. I was kind of doing a music themed set of jewelry, and so, you know, if you're into the Grateful Dead, then if you get this pack and you get the little red and blue crackle beads, you can make that. Okay, so I'm going to just shove everything over and we'll get started. Okay, so we are ready to begin, and I should also have mentioned you will need, if you want to make earrings, obviously some kind of earring wire. You'll need some pliers, potentially to hook those on. I'm going to be using a wire guardian for this video because that is what I put on the matching earring. You don't need to have a wire guardian. For example, here I just made a little loop at the top out of 15 beads. So you can see on my very last join, I just joined a 15 there and I circled back around and then I made a loop. So that is also an option for you. Or you can, if you're feeling, you know, if you don't even know what you want to do yet, just make the thing and then you can always sew on like a closed jump ring or a wire guardian or a loop once you're done. You can always go back in and sew something else at the top. And obviously you will need some thread. I am using the Fireline, but you can probably use whatever because we are going to be brick stitching. You're going to need more than you think. This thing uses more than I expected it to use. So you're going to need probably 2 feet, which is, tries to do math, about 60 centimeters, I believe. So go ahead and obviously you'll need a beading needle. I'm just threading mine now. Okay. And I will try my best to keep on the screen today. We'll see how that goes. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick up your 8mm bead and you're going to sew through it. And you're going to leave a little tail that's just long enough to like sew in at the end. It's just long enough so that your needle can kind of get through some beads and then you can tie it off. And we're going to leave it dangling throughout our whole project, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a base for our brick stitch. So if you're coming out the top, you're going to sew into the bottom. Okay. And then what I like to do is I turn my bead around. So I'm right-handed, so I'm sewing on the right. So I'm going to sew again and put a loop on that side. So I should have 2 loops of thread, 1 on each side of the bead. Okay. Now I'm going to spin it around again. I'm going to put a second loop. Okay. And they need to kind of sit next to each other. Don't worry if they don't right now. We'll get them together. And then I'm going to flip around again. And I'm going to put a second loop on this side. So I should now have 4 loops around my bead. Okay. And I'm coming out of the top. My tail is coming out the bottom. If you got this far, good job. All right. So now we're going to pick up the interior color of that we want for our skull. So mine is this kind of lime green color. I have no idea what these are called, these beads. I bought them a long time ago, and back when I didn't know any better and I didn't label things, you know, when I first started beading. So I'm sorry, I don't know. They look like a chartreuse lined AB possibly, if you're wondering. They're Miyuki. Okay, so you're going to pick up 2 of your 11 O's and you're going to go under 2 of the threads on one side. Then you're going to pull that through and they're going to sit kind of like this, and wherever the thread is coming out of this second bead here, you're going to sew into it again. Okay, so the thread is coming out here, it's going under these 2, and then I'm going back up into this bead, and that's going to create this little loop of thread. And if I pull it, he's just going to sit right there on that little loop, and that is brick stitch. Okay, so we're going to keep going. So we're going to pick up 1 bead this time. It's only on the first go that you pick up 2. So pick up 1, go through the next go under both the threads. You see that I'm going under, and then where the bead is attaching under the threads, that's the side I'm going into. I'm going to sew up into that bead, just like that. Okay, so now I have 3, and I'm going to keep doing this until I have 5. So 3, I'm going under the thread. If you have trouble getting under your thread, and by the way, I'm just holding my tail kind of with my pinky to keep it out of the way on the hand that I'm holding the bead in, okay? If you have trouble getting under, if you kind of go under where the beads are, then you can pull your needle over, and then, you know, you'll have more, you can kind of move around a little bit, okay? If you're having trouble. Okay, so sometimes they don't want to, you know, they go over there, that's fine. As long as you go up into the bit that the thread is going under, as long as you go into that side of the bead, it's going to sit right when you pull it tight. Okay, so there we go. That's 4. One more. Okay, so I now have a total of 5 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am now going to pick up an eyeball bead, and I am going to do exactly what we did before. So I'm going to sew under that thread, and I'm just going to go right back up into it. So we're basically just sewing beads onto this loop. Okay. Then I'm going to sew another green bead, and I'm still working on the same side. And you want it to sit kind of down on the thread, so just, you may need to adjust a little bit, that's fine. Just tweak it around till you get it the way you want it. Now here, this is where the hole is. So I'm going to straddle the hole with my next bead, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to pick up my bead. I'm going to go under this side of the thread, just like we've been doing, and it's hiding back there. Then I'm going to go under these 2 threads on this side. So I'm coming out the front, I'm going to go backwards under those 2, which can be a little tricky. This is just my tail, ignore that one, okay? So I'm going under the 2 threads here. I've come out from here and I'm going in here. Okay, see that? And then I just sew up through this bead, which should really be sitting right here, but he's not cooperating, but that's fine. And then when I pull tight, he'll be connected to both sides, essentially. So he's kind of straddling the gap, okay? So that's how you go across if you have a gap and you want to connect it on both sides. And it helps get it more centered as well. Okay, so our next one more. So we're now working on the other side of the thread, obviously. Okay, so we now have, after our eyeball, we have 1, 2, 3. So we're going to add another eyeball. And we're just going to keep going the same way. Okay, so if you remember, on this side of the head, we have, well, 5 green beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one is kind of the top of his head, so that means we need to add 4 on this side and that one will be the middle. So if we have 4 here, these are 4 here, and he's the middle, okay? So I'm just going to quickly do that. Okay, so I'm adding my very last bead. I'm just going up into it. And then I need to connect this bead with our very first bead here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm coming out the top here. I'm going to go down this bead, and I'm going to pick up, and this could be a little bit tricky, this bit. I'm going to pick up the 2 threads that are right here on the left hand side. So I'm going through the central bead and then through under those 2 threads on that side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to straddle, so I'm going to go under the 2 threads on this side, and it doesn't really matter as long as you slide your needle. So remember, I'm coming out the front, so I'm going through to the back. Okay, and then I can go back up. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble getting in. There we go. All right. Okay. So that is now our central bead that our working thread is coming out of. And he is connected both to this side and to that side. Okay. So now we're going to add our second layer, which is silver. So you should have this, okay? Kind of looks a little crazy right now. Don't worry, it's gonna look better. Okay, so here again, we're gonna pick up 2. So when you start, you have to pick up 2. So pick up 2 silver lined. And if you're looking here, we're coming out here. We're gonna skip this hump right here, this bit of thread that's right here, and we're gonna sew under this bit of thread right here. So don't go into the one that's like right next to your thread where your thread's coming out of. Go into the second one, okay? That's where we're gonna do, and we're just gonna sew under there. And ignore the first bead, don't worry about it. This bead right here, we're just gonna sew up into it. Okay. Gonna sew up into that bead, and it's gonna sew, the threads will connect under that loop. Okay, so we're just sewing onto that row now. And try and center that bead a little bit if you can. Kind of tug it over. Okay, so now we are going to add 1, 2, 3 more. So the third one will be connected right here. So pick up a silver line, go under the next bump of thread and sew into up into that bead. Sorry guys. Okay, pick up another under that bump. So up through the bead. You can kind of pull and it'll tighten that little bit there. And if you need to kind of jig these around a little, you can. I like to sort of make sure they're spaced out as I go. And on this last one, we're gonna just hook right under here. Okay. And go up into here. Okay, now we're gonna add 3 more to go around the eye. So one of them will be here and 2 of them will be on this portion of the thread here. So 1 more right here and then 2 here. Okay, I'm just trying to get them kind of evenly spaced out before I move on. Okay, so I've gone around the eye, as you can see. So I have here 2 areas that I can attach beads. So I'm going to attach green right here. This is going to be the top of his kind of nose area. So go ahead and do a green in that first little bump, or whatever color you happen to be using. And another green under the second bump. Okay, and then we're ready to go around the other eyeball. So again, I'm going to be doing 4 beads around the eyeball. So I'm going to put a silver here, basically 2 silvers on this section and 2 silvers on this section of thread. So I will do that quickly. Okay, so I have now attached my 4 silvers around the eye area. And now I'm just going to fill in each gap. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then I will show you how to join the top section. So I'll go ahead and speed through this because I think hopefully you guys have got the idea of how to do this. Okay, so I just added my last bead in this gap, and now I need to join these 2 together. So to do that, I am just literally going to go down the silver and under the thread that is between these 2 green beads right here. And then I'm just going to go up the silver bead. Make sure you don't accidentally go back through under that thread. Just go, make sure you're only going into the bead, and that has connected them beautifully together, as you can see. So now we're going to add on our wire guardian, which will allow us to have our earring. If you don't know what a wire guardian is, they're very useful. You can put thread or obviously thin wire through them. So they have 2 holes, and then here, hang on, I'm just going to hold that so you can see, they have a kind of hollow channel at the top where your thread goes in. And so what this does is it's like a wire reinforcement for thread. So it just helps the thread not wear out if it's, you know, hanging on an earring or at the end of a bracelet and you're using thread. Protects the thread from whatever's in the middle of it. So they're very useful little findings to have, and they come in all different colors and sizes. So that's a wire guardian if you're not familiar with them. Okay, so right now you can see I'm coming out of one of the 2 middle beads. So I'm going to go up into one of the holes on my wire guardian, and I'm going to push it down, and then I can see, so it's just dangling. I can then see I need to attach it to that one. So I'm going to go down through the other hole and down into that next silver bead right there. And then when you pull it, make sure that your thread actually goes into the channel. Sometimes it misses it and it drops down below. So if that happens, just kind of pull it up again, and you can kind of do this, and then you can, you know, pull it gently again and make sure that it actually does sit nicely in that little channel. Okay, so I'm coming out this silver bead here. I am going to go up into the next silver bead again, and guess what? I'm going to go through it again just to reinforce. So make your way up through the bead and the wire guardian. Okay. I need to pull that back down because I kind of pulled it out when I was trying to get into it. Okay, that's all sitting nicely. And then I'm just going to go right down into this side of the guardian. So I'm going to go down into this side of the guardian plus the silver bead plus, sorry, I'm kind of twisting this a little, plus this middle green seed bead and straight down the 8/0. Okay, so you don't have to do it all in one go. So I'm going to do my wire guardian and my silver bead in one shot. Make sure that sits in there. Good, good. And then I'm going to go down that green seed bead that's in the middle and straight down and come out this side. Okay. So we are now down at the bottom and we are ready to do our nose area. I am just going to pause for 1 second and I will come back. Okay, I am back and we are ready to go. So we are coming out here. I just happen to have my tail on the other side. If you don't have it on, it's on the same side and you want to push it to the back, you can sew through a gap here and come out the other side if you don't want your tail like in your way. If it's not bothering you, don't worry about it. Okay, so from coming out here, I need to get down to this bead right here. So I'm going to sew through this bead and this bead. It can be a little tricky to get in there. And it doesn't actually matter which bead, either the left one on the left or the right, one of these two green beads you want to go into, okay? Doesn't matter which, because you can flip your work over and then you would be on the left, and you can flip it over and then you would be on the right. So it doesn't matter which one you go through, okay? I'm going to turn him upside down so you can see what I'm doing better. Okay, so now we're going to pick up 6 of our green beads. Okay, so 6. Okay, and we're going to sew up into whichever side you're coming out of, sew into the other green bead on the other side. Okay, and pull. And this is going to become our nose. I know it doesn't look like a nose right now. Then we're going to just jump right over into, we're coming out right here, we're going to go into this one plus 1. So go through that one plus the first one of the 6, okay? And now here's the magic. We're going to skip this second one. We're going to go into the 3rd and the 4th bead. And what that's going to do is it's going to pop that one into a kind of corner shape. Okay, see how it's kind of, by skipping it, it makes it stick out. Okay, then we're going to skip the 5th bead and we're going to go into the 6th bead and back up into that middle, so go through those 2, okay? And if yours is not popping out, you can just take your needle tip and kind of massage it and it will pop out. Okay, so do you see how we have kind of a key shape, a triangle shape there now? Okay, so we're coming out here, the 2 green ones here. I'm going to go up into the first silver bead here. Okay. And we need to add one. So go ahead, pick up one silver bead, and we're going to go into this second trying to show you this bead right here that's kind of below the corner, so not the one that's next to where we are. The next one here, we're going to sew up into that one plus the second. Okay, so sew up into those two. Leave those 4 that are part of the nose alone right now. Okay, and that is just going to make that silver bead just sit right in here. Okay, then we're going to go up the 2 nose sides. I don't know what you want to call them here. Okay, we're going to pick up one silver and we're going to pop down into this silver bead on this side. So we now have one silver bead on each side. We have 4 green beads kind of sitting at the top. Okay. Then you're going to sew into the green bead next to it again. Just that one right there. Hang on. Okay. So I'm just sewing into the green bead that is next to the silver bead. Okay, and then we're going to be a little bit naughty, and we're just going to jump over to this silver bead right here. Okay, that's our turnaround. So shh, don't tell anyone, they'll never notice that there's a little thread going from that bead to that bead. They'll never notice. Okay. So here we are. And from here on out, we're just going to be picking up silver beads. So we're going to pick up 3 silver beads. And here we're going to kind of brick stitch between these 4 beads here. Okay, so you're going to go between the first bead and the second bead, just under, like through the nose area with your needle. And when you pull, get your thread right between those 2 beads right there. Okay, I know it looks like mine is not in the right place, but it actually will be. Okay, then you're going to go up through the first bead again. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I'm trying to sew between these 2 green beads right here. These 2, the end one and the second one. And when I pull it, you'll see my thread is going between those 2 beads. Yes? Can you see that? Right here, this thread. And if I pull it, it's gonna kind of disappear into there. Okay, now we're going to pick up 3 more. And this time we want our thread to go between these 2 middle beads. So just sew into the nose hole again. And you want your thread to sit between those 2 middle beads. So go ahead, pull them, go up into that first bead closest to where the thread is going under. Okay, and you can see my thread is going to go between the 2 middle beads right there, and I'm just going to pull. Okay, 3 more beads. Again, we're going into these last 2 right here, this gap between the last 2. So again, I'm going to sew into my nose hole. Okay, and I'm just going to try and line up my thread as well as I can and go up into that first bead. Right there. And you'll see my thread is going between those two, right? That's where you want it to go. Go ahead and pull. And I'm not pulling super tight, like I don't want the beads to pop in between. I just want them to sit next to the green beads. See how they're kind of sitting next to them. Then I'm going to pick up only 2 this time. Okay. And I'm going to sew up into these 2 silver beads right here. Nice. All right. So you can see it looks a little jagged. So we're going to smooth that out. So what we're going to do is sew into, I'm coming out the silver bead at the top next to his eye. I'm going to sew into the green bead right next to that silver bead. Just that one. Okay. And then we're going to do that sneaky little cut through on this side that we did over here earlier. And we're going to go into the second silver bead. So not the one that's under his eye, but the first one that's like part of his jaw. Okay. And then we're going to run around all these outer beads. So there should be 3 beads that are like connected. So skip those 3. Just go around the outside beads and you'll see it starts to form a nicer shape. And when you get to the top, just go all the way up through all the silver beads, okay? And then you'll see it kind of holds his face together a little bit better, okay? And this, I can't get them exactly even, you know, I mean, it's never perfect. Like you can see here, it's never perfect. This one's probably pretty perfect actually, but you know, most of them are not, just because all the beads are slightly different, your tension's slightly different. It's never going to be perfect, but you know, from a distance, it's close enough. It's fine. Nobody's going to be like, oh, these beads right here, they don't look exactly even, you know? Okay. So don't stress about it. Okay, so now I'm going to tie the end that's coming out here to my working thread. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go up into the this green bead that's next to my my 8mm bead. And then I'm just going to poke through to the other side so that I'm on the same side. So I'm just poking in between the next green bead. All right, so now both of my threads are on the same side here, okay? And I'm gonna just tie a square knot. So right over left, left over right. Okay. I'm gonna massage it slightly just to make sure I'm not pulling too tight. Okay. You don't want your piece to curl. Okay. So now I just need to weave in my ends. For my short end, I am actually going to basically with a needle in a second, I'm going to put it up through the middle of this bead and make it pop out probably the center, and then I'll cut that off. The thread that I have here, I'm going to just sew down the side here a few beads. Maybe like that, and then I can just cut it off. So I'll do the other thread and then I'll come back. Okay, so I got that other thread cut off. I'm going to grab my earring wire and I'm just going to hook that on. If you can't get it on that way, the way to do it is to feed it in from the end and put it around, okay? And obviously it should be, don't pull, this was already like this when I got it, but normally it would be closed and you would twist it to the side. Sorry. You would twist it to the side to open it. I don't even know if you saw any of that. You twist it to the side and then you'll twist it back closed again. Hopefully you know how to do this. And in those Grateful Dead earrings I was telling you about, I actually just added a bit of chain, so it was kind of a more dangly look. Anyway, so there you go. Fun little skull earrings, or even alien skull earrings. If you want to do this, what I did was I didn't do the silver. I just added sort of random colors here and there. This is the exact same pattern, same number of beads. So, you know, when I did the nose, I added 6, popped out the corners. And then when I did my 3, I did 2 whites plus a color, 2 whites plus a color, 2 whites plus a color. So anyway, have fun playing around and experimenting. Like I say, these can be totally embellished, you know, with little, sorry, I got hooked here. You know, you can use these little flowers. So have fun, knock yourself out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye for now.